tactical analysts have spent months trying to understand. A victory that, according to every simulation we've run, should have resulted in immediate pilot death. Ashley nodded. Sounds about right. This isn't funny, Cadet. Do you have any idea what this means? And passed the practical exam? Texmore sat down heavily in the front row, his species equivalent of putting his head in his hands. We need to call this in immediately. Security clearance verification, background check confirmation, psychological evaluation. Sir? Ashley interrupted. Is there a problem with my enrollment? Texmore looked up at her, and for the first time since she'd known him, the drill instructor looked genuinely afraid. Cadet Brooks, if you are who you claim to be, then we haven't just admitted a promising student to this academy. His voice dropped to barely above a whisper. We've accidentally recruited a living weapon. Ashley brightened. Oh, good, so I can skip the remedial combat courses. But Texmore was already reaching for his emergency communicator, his hands shaking as he began dialing what looked like a very, very long number. Outside the amphitheater, word was already spreading through the academy like wildfire, and in the faculty offices 3 levels up, several very senior instructors were about to have the worst day of their extremely long careers. The screaming was about to get much, much louder. The emergency faculty meeting was called for 1200 hours. By 11:30, the conference room was already in chaos. Dean Kixrath slammed his tentacles against the titanium table, leaving small dents. Explained to me how we admitted a cadet whose service record was classified above our security clearance. Professor Yilmis, head of tactical studies, was frantically scrolling through holographic displays that kept glitching and showing error messages. The human application files were incomplete. We assumed it was a clerical error. A clerical error? Associate Dean Trixfer's crystalline form pulsed angry red. We're running the most prestigious military academy in 7 sectors, and you assumed... 23 faculty members representing 15 different species filled the Oval Conference Room. The air recycling system was working overtime to handle the mix of atmospheric requirements, creating an uncomfortable humidity that made everyone irritable. Chief Security Officer Nexwell cleared his throat, a sound like grinding metal. I've been trying to access Cadet Brooks's full military file for the past hour. Every time I get close, the system redirects me to a contact form for something called Terra Military Intelligence. What's Terra Military Intelligence? Asked Professor Hickstel from Advanced Combat Theory. No idea, but they want to schedule a video call. The room fell silent except for the hum of life support systems. Dean Kixrath's tentacles writhed with agitation. How did our background screening miss this? Technically, Yilmis said carefully, we did run a background check. The problem is that human military records are strange. Strange how? Well, according to their files, Ashley Brooks has a 127% mission success rate. The room erupted in confused chatter. That's mathematically impossible, Professor Wixton protested. He taught advanced military mathematics and prided himself on understanding probability. That's what I thought too, Yilmis continued, but apparently humans count bonus objectives separately. She didn't just complete her assigned missions, she accidentally completed other people's missions while she was at it. Associate Dean Trixfor's crystalline form flickered. Accidentally? According to the footnotes, during a routine patrol mission, she stumbled into a separatist supply depot, assumed it was abandoned, and called in coordinates for salvage. Turned out to be the largest weapons cache seizure in sector history. Once is an accident, Chief Nexwell said grimly. What about the other 27%? Yilmis winced. She has a habit of getting lost and finding things, important things, things that other people had been looking for. The Dean's tentacles had stopped writhing and were now perfectly still, never a good sign with his species. What kind of things? Missing coalition prisoners, pirate bases, a Sector 7 research station that had been dark for 6 months. Turns out they'd just forgotten to pay their communication bills. Professor Hickstel leaned forward. Are you telling me this cadet has been accidentally solving intelligence problems? I'm telling you that Terra Military Intelligence has requested she report to them after graduation for what they're calling specialized deployment opportunities. The uncomfortable silence returned, broken only by the sound of Professor Wixton frantically recalculating probability matrices on his personal tablet. There's more, Yulmis said reluctantly. I pulled the files on our other human cadets. Every head in the room turned toward him. We have 4 others. Michael Peterson, Jennifer Walsh, David Kim, and Thomas Anderson. And, the dean prompted, Peterson once held off an entire battalion with a broken rifle and what he describes as aggressive negotiations. Walsh accidentally started a diplomatic incident that ended a 3-year trade war. Kim got separated from his unit during training and somehow ended up providing tactical support to a coalition Black Ops mission he wasn't supposed to know existed. What about Anderson? Anderson... Yulmis paused. Anderson's file just says, see attached incident reports, and then lists 47 separate documents. The dean's tentacles began writhing again, faster this time. How many incidents can one cadet have? Well, he did crash land on an uncharted planet and accidentally made first contact with a previously unknown sapient species. Twice. Professor Hickstall made a strangled sound. The same species twice? Different species. Same planet. Apparently it's more crowded than we thought. Chief Maxwell was pulling up security footage on his tablet. I've been reviewing the Human Cadets Academy performance. They're all scoring in the 95th percentile or higher on combat simulations. That's good, Professor Wixton ventured. They're scoring in the 95th percentile on simulations designed to be unwinnable. The uncomfortable silence was becoming a theme. The Kobayashi Maru scenario? Associate Dean Trixvor asked. All 5 of them beat it. Different methods, but they all found ways to win an unwinnable scenario. Naxel scrolled through his notes. Brooks hotwired the enemy ship's communication systems and convinced them their commander had ordered a retreat. Peterson challenged the enemy commander to single combat and won, through what he called creative interpretation of dueling rules. Walsh hacked the simulation and upgraded all the coals. What about Kim and Anderson? Kim convinced the enemy fleet to surrender by offering them a better pension plan. Anderson, Maxwell paused. Anderson somehow got the simulation AI to develop an existential crisis and quit. Professor Yulmis was staring at his holographic displays. I'm starting to understand why the other coalition species keep their distance from human space. What do you mean? The dean asked. I've been cross-referencing incident reports from sectors with significant human military presence. The pattern is concerning. Explain. Wherever humans are deployed, casualty rates drop dramatically, mission success rates increase, enemy surrender rates spike. Yulmis looked up from his data. It's like they have a destabilizing effect on normal military doctrine. Professor Hickstall was reviewing tactical manuals on his tablet. That would explain the communication I received this morning from the Hegemony War College. All eyes turned to him. They're requesting an immediate faculty exchange program. They want to send observers to study our human integration protocols. We don't have human integration protocols, Associate Dean Trixvor pointed out. That's what I told them. What did they say? Amy asked how we were containing them. The room fell dead silence. Containing them? Dean Kixrath's voice was barely above a whisper. Apparently, the Hegemony military has classified humans as a wild-card tactical element. They're not sure if humans are secretly brilliant strategists, or if they just break the fundamental laws of military science through sheer humanness. Chief Maxwell cleared his throat again. I may have found our answer. He activated the room's main holographic display. Personnel files appeared showing all 5 human cadets. I finally got through to Terra Military Intelligence. They were very helpful once I explained the situation. And, according to their representative, these 5 cadets are what they call washouts. The word hung in the air like a toxic cloud. Washouts. Professor Yulmis repeated. Students who didn't meet the standards for human military academies. They were sent here as part of an exchange program because, and I quote, they needed more structured learning environments. Professor Wixton's probability calculations had stopped making sense an hour ago, but now his tablet was smoking. If these are their failures, what are their successes like? The dean finished. Nobody wanted to answer that question. The emergency communication system activated, filling the room with a pleasant chime that somehow made everyone more nervous. Incoming priority transmission from Terra Military Intelligence, the AI announced. Conference call requested with Dean Kixrath and senior faculty. Dean Kixrath looked around the room at his colleagues. Several were already reaching for stress medication. Professor Wixton had given up on mathematics entirely and was staring at the ceiling. Accept the call, the dean said, with the resignation of someone about to learn something they really didn't want to know. The holographic display shimmered and resolved into the image of a middle-aged human woman in military uniform. She had graying hair, laugh lines around her eyes, and the kind of smile that made small children trust her and experienced soldiers run